All right, we're live. And sorry I'm a little late again. I I always have trouble setting these things up, but I'm pretty sure I got it down this time. I think we yeah, okay. I think this should be sharing to my personal profile, should be sharing to the group pages and it should be on my artist page too. So, yeah, it took me a little bit longer this time, but I think I actually got it all set up. Now I'm going to try to tag people, but no problem there. So there's a lot to talk about tonight. It's mostly going to be like I skipped the dream journal thing. Like I said, I'm going to make a dedicated video to how to use a dream journal and all that. Um I don't want to repeat myself too much here, but there's some things that I wanted to talk about because I got a lot of the same questions, and for some of the more advanced dreamers out there, I don't want to bore anybody, and I definitely want to make sure that there's replay value to these, and I want to be able to pull a lot of little nuggets out of these videos. And but there's so much cool stuff to talk about. So someone was asking me if I could do like a live dream interpretation for them, and I understand when I'm sharing like the videos talking about like live dream sessions, it might seem like a dream interpretation type of thing, but I might have said it before. I keep looking over here because that's where the big computer screen is. Um, all right, sorry about that. Let me fix my microphone here. Yeah, but I'm not. My goal is not to interpret dreams, and I said this before. Um, I really think dream interpretation is a much more complex and advanced thing than most people put on. There's a lot of palm readers, and you can go to the psychics and they can tell you almost anything you want to hear. Most of those people are good talkers, and they know enough to put on a good game, but most dream interpretations are just nonsense. So I'm not here to interpret your dreams so much, although I'll do the best I can and relate it to psychology the best I can. Most dream interpreters are charlatans. Like, people really go out there and make money by feeding people a bunch of nonsense for the most part. Even if their research is well done, even if they've done a lot of deep research on it, it doesn't mean that it's all factual. And the only reason I know that is because I've tested it. I've looked at the signs in dreams and I've tried to connect them to what's happened in my life, and a lot of times what the dream dictionary tells you is just not true. So the only way I could interpret someone's dream is if I know you really deeply on a personal level for a long time. And even then I could be wrong, because only even you don't know yourself enough to fully interpret your dreams, but you're probably the best person to interpret your own dreams. But again, that doesn't mean, I'm interested in people, reaching out, and I will definitely say what I can. I'll definitely do what I can to interpret it the best way I can. And a lot of times, I think what I've noticed with a lot of people when they tell me about their dreams is that, and even me personally, when trying to interpret my own dreams, is that we get distracted by what's right in front of our faces and we don't see the obvious message underneath. And there usually is a direct connection. And usually when I point it out to people, it's like that light bulb moment, and they're like, oh, of course. But sometimes it just takes a different perspective to see that and find that. But still, that doesn't necessarily make me anyone special. And I've studied dream symbols, and I have a dream dictionary right there, and I have the complete dictionary of dream symbols and all that. But it's just so much more nuanced than that. None of it is that black and white. You could get a good idea from what some of them talk about, but and again, there might be some some archetypical types of how do you say it? Like the in Jungian psychology, I know he believes that there's a lot of foundational symbols that are kind of universal to the human mind that we all recognize on different levels. But I feel like through different cultural shifts, those symbols can change. Those foundational symbols can definitely change. And I've noticed that over time, and maybe it takes a long time to change. And it doesn't mean we don't have a solid grasp on any of it. But, my point is that, like, I'm not here to interpret dreams. But I do want to ask some of my regular lucid dreamers out there, some of the people that are actual regular lucid dreamers that are able to do it. Someone asked me earlier today, next time I'm dreaming, to ask one of the characters in my dream what the time is and what the date is. And I think that's a great idea. That's really cool. I can't wait to try that. She just mentioned that earlier today, so I'm actually going to try that. But I want some of you out there to try that and tell me what happens, because one of the most practical tests to find out if you're dreaming or not is to look at the clock in your dream. That's one of the first things you'll see on Google if you try to look up how to remember your dreams or how to become lucid in a dream, is to look at a clock, and if the time looks funny and it's changing, or just look at the clock, then look away and check it again. And if it's completely different, then you know you're in a dream. Similar to pinching yourself. And there's other things like they say to hold your nose and try to breathe in through your nose. And if you can breathe in through your nose, then you know you're in a dream. And that's worked for me before. I'm like, okay, I'm holding my nose and I could still breathe. So all of a sudden you'll realize you're dreaming. But my point is that, they say you can look at a clock, you can look at a calendar, and if it looks funny or if the time and date changes, then you know you're in a dream. So I wonder what would happen if you ask a person or character in your dream what the time and date was. And someone told me, she said that people were saying that they always get mad. She's like, tell me if they get mad. And I don't necessarily see that happening. Dream characters are a whole nother conversation. Some people believe that characters in our dreams are other people that are sleeping, that are dreaming at that moment. And, like, that's a cool idea and that's a fun thought, but I don't necessarily believe that to be 100% true, at least not all of the time, because I've had characters in my dreams that I knew were direct reflections of me. I knew that they were manifestations of different aspects of my personality. Now, that doesn't mean that they couldn't have been another person asleep. Even then, even if a character in our dream is someone that we've spawned, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not someone else that's having a dream, because maybe when we go to sleep and we wake up in a dream, we can wake up as some sort of character in someone else's dream. And they may think that they spawned us, and maybe they did, but either way they're there. I don't know. That's an interesting thought, and I know some of you have some interesting theories on that. We've talked about that, but that wasn't necessarily going to be the point of tonight's live. But I just wanted to ask some of you out there, next time, sorry, if you do have a lucid dream, I want you to try to ask someone in that dream what the time and date is and see what they say. Just let me know what their response is. I'll probably put up a poll or something online about it, and I'll try to collect the data the best I can, and I'll let everyone know how that happens. Now I already found two people on TikTok who said that they remember their dreams all the time and they can control them. So I started talking to them and I asked them if they would take part in some of these experiments, and they said they would. So we'll see what comes of that. That's really interesting. And Dominic, I meant to get back to you, and I will get back to you. There's a lot to pick apart in what you were talking about with your experience, and you know, uh, um, like the esoteric studies and dream studies are intertwined, and there's so many books that kind of weave the two of them together really well. I'm trying to think of some like right now. Uh, Man, yeah. Do you know what, Dominic? I'm gonna get back to you because that's what we were talking about earlier is really deep and really complex, and there's a lot of places to go with that. So yeah, that's like, man, when talking about orbs and all that, I've gone back and forth with that. So, you know, again, tonight I just want to give some some more generalized ideas, for some of us to move forward with our visualizations and our dreams. So like the dream journals, I still didn't put out that video like I promised, but I will. And I do have to go back. I have some of these questions to pull up here actually. And I'll be taking questions this whole time. So if anybody has any questions, just throw them up there for me. I'll make sure I get back to them. Real quick, I'm gonna pull up some questions and I'm gonna try to share this or tag a few people in this live. And I don't see it here. By the way, don't knock me with your vape. All right, I know you got your organic vape and all that, and like vaping's cool and all that, but leave me alone, man. These are these are organic hemp wraps, okay? Non-GMO, vegan friendly, all that good stuff. So back off. All right. All right, so I'm trying to find it to tag people, but it won't let me. Uh I'm gonna pull up some of these questions here again. And as you guys come in, again, I can see some eyeballs, but I can't really see. I don't know who's watching. So if you are watching, you could just you know throw your name up in the comment or something. Okay. Okay, again, so I got these questions here. I know whoever asked these questions, they're probably not watching this live right now, so I'm gonna reshare this back into all those groups, and I'll probably share the individual answers in their own little videos, but I'll probably clip them like out of this live, because these live videos can be long and drawn out, and I know I go off on tangents, and you know it's easy to go through. What's up? Okay, yeah, it's good to see you back here, Carlos. That's you, right? Spirit Hernandez, yeah. What's up, man? Yeah, I'm gonna answer these questions one by one. I don't want to be too repetitive. So like you, Carlos, I know you're more advanced with a lot of this, and you might hear me repeat myself a lot. And like I don't want to bore the people that are more advanced, but I want to be able to pull in the people that aren't really necessarily up to date on all the things that we've talked about. Sleep paralysis. Yeah, TSP, right? Temporary sleep paralysis, they call it. Yeah, that's one that a lot of people ask me about actually. Uh yeah, I've experienced that. So sleep paralysis, man. All right, here we go. Here we go. Forget the other questions. So like I remember my brother first telling me about how he felt like he woke up and something was holding him down and he couldn't move and he was freaking out about it and it scared him a lot. And I really got fascinated with that for a long time. And it never happened to me for a while, actually, until I induced it myself. But yeah, sleep paralysis, most people experience that when they wake up, and I believe your brain waves are still in the delta state, and your prefrontal cortex, uh your your prefrontal cortex is activated, but your motor functions are shut down, so your body can't move. So the part of your brain responsible for movement is not awake. And people get scared, and the folklore is that like it's a demon holding you down or whatever. There's I know different cultures have interpreted it in different ways. I know like one culture it's like it was like jackals that hold you down, and some people think it's like all different types of freaky ideas. But like the scientific explanation is that like the part of your brain responsible for movement is shut down, and that's necessary when you're sleeping. Otherwise you would act out all of your dreams, and when that's not functioning properly, and when that part of your brain doesn't shut down, that's when you end up sleepwalking, and that's when people end up doing crazy movements during their dreams. So it's important for that part of the brain to be shut down. So when you wake up and you feel like something's holding you, that's just because that's just because we're not used to that experience. It's the only way for our brain to interpret it. So, and I know a lot of people, and people have argued with me. They're like, no, I felt a presence in my room. I felt this spirit, this demon holding me. And I understand that. So the other thing about it is that your mind is in an altered state when you're experiencing sleep paralysis, because you're in that dazed state. Like I said, part of your brain is shut down, part of it is activated. Different things are kind of moving into and out of place, and your brain waves are shifting. So you feel funny. And the cool thing about sleep paralysis is that when you're in that state, if you know what it is and you're not scared of it, you can use it to your advantage. And I'm sure you're aware of this, but for all the people that aren't, and I'm sure you're aware of all of this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, because for all the people that aren't, I think it's really cool. Uh, when you feel that sleep paralysis, and I know some people really struggle with it. Like some people have told me that like they're scared to go to sleep because they don't want to wake up and feel that. But but if you know what it is, you know that it's perfectly harmless, and all you have to do is close your eyes and go back to sleep. Which at that point, when your adrenaline starts pumping and stuff, eventually you do like wake yourself out of that state and you can move again. And people usually get up, and that's when they're all freaked out, like, yo, something was holding me up, I woke up. But no, it's again, it's just because that part of your brain was shut down and didn't quite wake up yet for whatever reason. But if you can calm down when you're in that frame of mind, and like I said, I've induced it for myself, so I actually never experienced it like organically, to where like it freaked me out. I knew what it was and studied it before it ever happened to me, so it was pretty cool. So when I woke up and I felt like I couldn't move and I was completely weighed down, I was like, this is it. I'm like between that theta and that delta state where I can choose to either go deep into a dream, or I can choose to kind of wake myself up. So depending on what you want to do and what works best for you, and a lot of people are different, so different people use different techniques. But there's you can use the visualization technique, like you could picture your body filled with light and then picture yourself floating, or something like that. And and when you're in that state, your brain it's easy to manipulate your mind in that state, and it's easy to enter into a lucid dream. Or if you want to, if there's a reoccurring dream that you want to go back into, that's a great time to do it. And I've never astrally projected, at least not to what I can prove. I'm not saying it isn't possible. I'm saying it might not be what most people think it is, and I'm always up to debate on that. But I'm always up to run experiments on that too. But for people out there that do say that they astrally project, they say that's like the best state to do it from. So if you let yourself relax instead of being scared that you can't move, just realize that you can close your eyes and go into a dream, and when you wake back up, you'll be able to move. Um, but people that are into astral projection, if you just calm down and you let your body vibrate, a lot of people talk about that vibration, and they talk about that's where the that's where your astral body is untethering from your physical body, and then they say it's always connected by the silver cord or whatever. But yeah, when you're in that sleep paralysis state, you can manipulate yourself and do all types of cool things. Some people would say that's the best way to astrally project. I would say it's the best way to lucid dream, or to go back into a reoccurring dream. Even if you can't become lucid, you can just when you wake up and you start feeling that, just rest. A lot of times it helps to focus on your breath because your breathing is not shut down. Although I know a lot of people can psych themselves out enough to where like they'll lose their breath and they might be like gasping for breath because they get freaked out. But yeah, sleep paralysis, temporary sleep paralysis is fascinating. There's a lot to be explored there. It's basically the brain is still in REM state, but you're actually awake. Uh yeah, man. Carlos, what are you smoking on tonight? What do you got tonight? Let me know. Anyone else watching, throw some thumbs up in the comments or throw some hearts or whatever, cuz I don't even know who's with us or if anyone is with us, but either way I'm going to do this and I'm going to keep talking. So, yeah, I'll get back to those questions. Yeah, man. And you know what? Maybe I could go through it. See, like I could respond to comments and stuff. I could like. There you go. I could like your comment from here. Okay. See, I'm learning. It's okay. Well, now I don't know what I did, but all right, I'm gonna go back. Yeah, I'm learning here. I'm not good. I'm not good with technology. Is pot okay for lucid dreaming? Um, that's complicated because everyone's different, and some, like, technically I know it's classified as a hallucinogenic, but I think anyone who really knows, we know it's not the same as an actual hallucinogenic. But apparently, like, the receptors are there that respond to that chemical in it. So, whatever they say. But is it okay for lucid dreaming? What I've noticed personally and from having conversations with people, it gets complicated. But for me personally, when I'm like smoking every day, and like if I smoke before bedtime, and like I'm still kind of feeling it when I go to sleep, and if I do it like regularly every day over a period of time, it does kind of hinder my dreams. Like I start to not be able to remember my dreams when I wake up. And then as soon as I stop, like if I stop, even not even like as long as like I don't smoke before bed, like if I'm basically sober when I go to bed, then I'll start to remember my dreams again. But if I do that for a while, if I go to sleep sober every night for a while, it seems like my brain gets too comfortable and I stop remembering my dreams again. So it's strange, but it's almost like it's not even like whether or not this helps with the dreams. It's almost like my brain gets comfortable and I need to interrupt the pattern of my brain in order to like be able to lucid dream more effectively. So like anything I'm doing, and I don't really drink. I wouldn't say I don't really drink. I would say like I really don't drink. But like once in a while when I do, if I get a good buzz, which like I haven't done it even in years, but I haven't caught a good buzz in a long time because like I really don't drink. You know, my kids have never seen me drunk. You know, they will never say that they've seen me like sloppy or anything like that or out of character like that at all. But you know, when I do drink, if I get like a good buzz and go to sleep, I'll have like a crazy vivid dream, and I feel like it's just because my mind is in a different state. You know, it's like, you know, it's like my mind is more alert because I'm not as comfortable, you know. So I'm more likely to pick up on those type of things. It's a good question though, because I mean everyone's different. Maybe some people can like go to sleep stoned every night and have incredible vivid lucid dreams every night. You know, that's not me. When I do, I notice like if I smoke right before bed, which I like to a lot of times, you know, it you know, I can't really like enjoy it until the end of the night, you know, when everyone's sleeping and like I'm alone in my studio or whatever, you know, or even like with my girl on the back porch or something when the kids are sleeping, that's when we can really enjoy it. So like then I do that and it's the end of the night, I end up going to bed and like I don't, you know, I it's kind of like I just wake up. Even when I try to induce dreams sometimes, it's like it doesn't work very well. And when I do, it's not as vivid and not as intense. So like, but you know, I'll smoke still and then like I'll stop like, you know, 3 4 hours before bed. And like then I notice that I reckon that I will pick up on my dreams more. It's, you know, it's weird. And then there's also different types. You know, I think like it probably depends between like indica and sativa too. Like I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I would think sativa would help more because it's less of a downer, so it might help more with alertness to remember your dreams. I'm not sure. But whether or not it's okay, I don't know if that's the right question to ask. I mean, and I think everyone's different. I don't know. But yeah, that is a good question. It's a valid question. And like I wish I could say like, yeah, you can induce all types of visualizations. All you got to do is smoke a joint, you know, but that's like it's not necessarily true, you know. And it depends on what type of green you got, you know. I really do believe. And I'm not an expert either in that category. So, but like I said, from my personal experience, it's just about interrupting the pattern in my brain and switching it up once in a while to keep my brain from getting too comfortable. I definitely do reality checks during the day, and it's just kind of like become part of how I live anyway. Cause like, I mean, like I've been wearing, you know, the Dreamkeeper brand is not like something like I didn't just want to make like a Facebook page and name it Dreamkeeper. Like this is a brand that this is something I've I've developed since I was a little kid. This is something I've always leaned into. So like it's kind of always been my lifestyle. So like yes, I do reality checks during the day and a lot of times um they've really man, that you know that makes me think like I didn't actually think about how I still do it and why I still do it, but like yeah, a lot of times like looking out while I'm driving and stuff, looking ahead of myself, I can, you know, I and I s- a lo- you know I say my gratitude every day, so I say what I'm thankful for, you know, just because like that goes back to, you know, all the motivational speakers recommend that, you know, say what you're thankful for every day, you know, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And when I'm doing that, uh, I do, my brain shifts, you know, and I do see things differently. And I see, you know, I don't want to talk crazy, but like, and maybe it's floaters in my eyes, but like I see orbs, you know, and I can see light around things when I get in those mind states. And it happens to me every day. Like unless I had an absolutely crazy day and like crazy day at work and I've been going all week and I just crashed that night, Sometimes I have those days, rarely, but every day I have those moments where I sit back and I'm like, is this a dream? Like, let me make sure right now, because I'm feeling it. A lot of times it's when I have deja vu too. I'll ask myself if it's a dream, but I don't do it as regularly as I used to. And like, back when I was single, like before I had kids and when I was really practicing this, I would do those reality checks like religiously. So I would set the alarm on my phone. And what they say is to set it like incrementally, like for 3 times throughout the day. And just to get your brain used to thinking about dreams throughout the day. And, it'll become it'll become a habit, it'll become habitual once you start doing it. And then even if you don't set the alarm on your phone, it'll kind of just be something that you think about because you've trained your brain to do it so much over all the years. And that's where I'm at now. So like I don't even do it as a practice anymore. I kind of just do it because like I think about dreams so much. I really do. And I think about, altered dimensions and even going through the hustle and bustle and the grind of work every day, because I do work every day, and I got the weekends off, but I'm with the kids, with the 3 kids and them with school and everything. It's like it's easy to get distracted by the material world, and to just crash at the end of the night, because you just got too much on your plate and there's so many other things to think about, and it's easy to forget that we're living in different series of dreams all the time. But I don't forget, man. I don't forget. I'd say when I was a teenager, there was periods, there's times where things get tough, and that happens to all of us. And I think we all feel like sometimes trapped by this material world. But like, man, the more you train your brain to think about it, the more you attract things that remind you of it, and it becomes cyclical, I think, to the point where like reality checks are like I'm I'm almost always living in a reality check. Like I'm constantly looking out to see if I'm dreaming almost. But that's different, and if I was really trying to practice it, and when I do try to practice it, like a couple weeks ago, back when I was asking people if they've seen their smartphone in their dreams, I was like, well, I worked all that week and I was making music, and I was sleeping like 45 minutes or an hour every night. No exaggeration. You can ask my girl, she knows, and she hates me for it, like I always say. And like I always say, I know it's not good. But so that week was rough, but like as soon as I hit that weekend, I was doing reality checks like multiple times a day, probably 5, 6, 7 times a day. It was like every time I looked at a clock, because I was like, I want to be able to wake up in my dream and do this test. And it worked. I mean, it didn't. I think it was like the third night when I finally got it. Because on my days off, like I'll sleep in. Then I do sleep. I'll get a full 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 hours of sleep. You know, but other than that, like I don't sleep. So, but yeah, so when I wanted to induce a lucid dream, I did regular reality checks, and it worked. And if I was someone that struggled with it, and if I was having problems with it, I would make it like more of a routine. I don't necessarily do it as a routine. I just do it as a way of life. But what about you? What about you, Carlos? Do you do reality checks? I'm curious. Like a lot of people, it's amazing how many people don't know about it. It really is. And how many people told me that they've never tried that. And like it's also, like I had a big argument with someone about, he said how if you have to check, no, you don't. Yeah, I mean, maybe you don't need to. Some people don't need to. But I think it helps. Someone told me that if you need to ask yourself whether or not you're dreaming, then you're not. Yeah, you're a natural dreamer, man. I get it. I get it. Okay. See, that's beautiful. I wasn't, honestly. Like I literally like reality checks were part of what, yeah, you're a natural lucid dreamer. Yeah, man. That's amazing. And the more I've been like reaching out online, the more I've been like finding people like you and like, man, it blows my mind because it took me a long time to learn how to do it. You know, I really had to practice at it. And I don't have to anymore. Like again, I feel at this point I feel like I'm a natural lucid dreamer, but I definitely wasn't. Did you did you ever have to practice or I'm not I know the Q&A is not for me to ask you questions, but I'm curious. And also, I don't know if you heard, but I want to do that test where oh yeah, I've tried meditating. I do meditate. Yeah, all types of meditation. Uh yeah. And yeah, meditation is also was also, you know, part of my practice. Now you do. Yeah. And just like, yeah, and all types of breathing techniques and you know, meditation music and I've meditated to binaural beats, you know, in nature with nature sounds with different types of music, you know, different types of frequency, silence, you know. You know, there's like the ultimate meditation of, you know, just older you get, the harder it is to lucid dream. Honestly, man, me too. I can understand that. I can understand that. You know, it's like, and there could be a lot of reasons for that. And like, I don't know you personally. I know for me personally, it was like, man, once my kid was born, and yeah, it was, yeah, dude. I literally, when I was younger, every single night, I would look forward to going to sleep so I could go back into some sort of adventure. Like, and I literally used it as like a coping mechanism, you know, for like whatever I was suffering through, you know, as a kid or as a teenager, like any type of depression or problem I had, it really saved me. I would go on these adventures, I would try to solve problems, you know, I would look for answers. You know, I would literally you know, like guided meditations, I would make my own guided meditation and I would recite it and I would memorize it and then I would do it and I would make these meditations geared towards solving problems. And I didn't make that up. That was I don't remember what book that was, but I wish I could, but it was some one of those motivational authors, self-help, one of those self-help books. What it might have been How to Win Friends and Influence People. I don't know, one of those classics, but that was a technique that he said in guided meditations, and then I applied it to dreams, you know. So like try to try to you know I would solve problems in my dreams when I was younger. Now I feel like once I had a kid and I started working, now for a long time I was working, you know, 7 days a week. You know, I do doubles every day except Sunday. You know, like crazy hours, and it's like that's when I really kind of fell out of it. And it's just there was just no way I could even like think about dreaming. You know, I was just trying to pay the bills and feed my kid, and then you know now I have three kids, but I also have you know my beautiful amazing girl, and she helps. So like, and we both also have better jobs now, so like I can basically just work. You know, my I work 40 hours a week. You know, I get overtime sometimes when I can, but not every week. So it's basically 40 hours a week. And you know, that's enough though with the three kids and it's just it gets distracting, you know, it gets tough. Too much lucid dreaming is not good. No. I know I don't believe that at all. I think that depends on what you're doing in those lucid dreams. uh some people can use their dreams to fantasize about some unhealthy things. I think we all understand that. People can use the, and it depends on how you use your dream. So like, I feel like if you have a friend in your dream that's like a friend in real life, it can be very confusing and cause a lot of problems, because if you're having conversations all the time with this person in your dream, you're forming your own image of them in that dream. And again, you're going to form false memories with them. And then when you wake up, they might not meet the same expectations in reality as they do in your dreams. And it can literally change how you look at people. So yeah, like lucid dreaming too much in that sense, depending on how you're using it. Or literally, like, people, you can have sex in your dreams, and like you can fantasize about whoever you want, and people can get obsessed with that, and they can literally have wet dreams. Like, a dude can wake up and like you can literally you can orgasm in your dream. And this is no secret. Like, this is widely known. We all know this. Well, I mean, most people do. So a lot of people have experienced it. So like, if you I feel like if you use your dreams for that, like every night, you get addicted to that. Yeah, that could become a serious problem. So like, don't do that. I would never recommend that. Also, like, if you're fantasizing about a person who exists in the real world, like, that's weird. All right, that's unhealthy, and that's weird. Like that. So yes, too much lucid dreaming in the wrong way can be bad. But I think if you're using it in a productive way, and you're literally like, what's wrong with going on adventures through the forest and flying to the moon, and things like that, like flying over volcanoes. And I'm saying, like, I don't know. No, because I did it every night when I'd say, like, from when I was like 15 or 16 to when I was like 18 or 19, I was probably lucid dreaming like at least 5 times a week, and like, it was always like, I would do so much. And like, I was never good at recreating like a reoccurring dream, so I would usually try to recreate a dream, but it would end up being something completely different, but still interesting and fun and cool. But I never did anything unhealthy, and like I said, I would try to memorize guided meditation. So I would be like, any problem I'm having in my life, and I did it, like, when I was really broke, and it's like visualize yourself working and making money without hurting yourself, however that might look or however that might feel. And like, like, build some sort of guided meditation. You can work it to where you're walking through a forest and you walk into that or whatever. And if you fall asleep thinking about that, you'll enter that type of dream usually. It'll end up expanding and being broader, and you know sometimes it can be more vague and a little more diluted than you would have imagined it, and not as clear and sharp as you might hope for. You wake up and things feel foggy and vague, but it doesn't. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. But no, too much lucid dreaming. I think lots of lucid dreaming is great if you do it for the right reason. Just don't do stupid, unhealthy things. Like, and don't do weird things. Don't be a weirdo. That's what I would say. I know some people do it. Like, yeah, no, there's so much you can do, and that's why I say there's an entire universe in your mind. And I've experienced that. You can go to other planets, and then you can manipulate those planets. I'm like, let me go to Saturn. And I show up to Saturn, and I'm on a planet, and I'm like, this. There's all types of craters on this planet, and I'm like, and it's gassy, and I'm like, this isn't Saturn, this couldn't be Saturn. And I'm like, there's no rings, and I'm like, let me put some rings around this, and these rings flash around it, and like, there's so much you can do in a lucid dream to where, like, you don't have to do weird, unhealthy things. I don't understand why people would would limit themselves to that. And I mean, I guess, and I have had this debate with people before, like you can develop unhealthy habits, and I guess you can like some people get addicted to sleep, and you can sleep too much, and I guess you can neglect your everyday life, I guess, if you're lucid dreaming too much. I guess that's a possibility. Like, there's anything is possible, and there's someone out there for everything. So I guess for some people, even if they're lucid dreaming in like cool adventurous ways, it can still be, I guess it could still be detrimental, I guess, like if you're neglecting your everyday life. But other than that, no, too much lucid dreaming. Like some people, oh, you think it's smart and real. Yeah, it's definitely, it's definitely smart and real. Uh, it's definitely smart and real. And, but I guess if you do it too much, like I'm trying to think of scenarios because I know there's exceptions to every rule. I'd say the rule is that lucid dreaming is good. It's beneficial generally. Like I really can't see it being bad for people. I think there's so many ways that it can help people actually, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm doing this. I'm putting things out there like I do because I'm like on a personal level, I have these conversations with people, and I see the light bulb light up a lot of times with people, but like, I'm like, why not put it out there and see who else we can reach with it and see how much more I can learn, because there's people out there like all of you. I've been learning from everyone out there. Yeah, man. Yeah. I think lucid dreaming is beneficial. But oh, but I don't want to forget also about like, how it gets tougher as you get older. And it's got tougher for me as I got older, and it might not just be like the kids and the distractions and the work and the everyday life. It also might be like the accumulation of information in your subconscious is kind of filling up the hard drive and leaving less space for that awareness to lucid dream, if you know what I'm saying. Like that's the best way I can explain it. Um I don't know. I was just thinking about that and I wanted to, cuz like I don't think it's just the kids and the distraction. I think as you get older, and I think I kind of talked about this in the video that I posted last night. Yeah, you have to stay positive for sure. For sure, because it's interesting, but like, you know what, maybe that's a question that I should ask. um is it even possible to have a negative lucid dream? Like, I want to know, because anytime, even when I was having like nightmares, like horrible nightmares, when you had anxiety, the dreams were going negative. Yeah, the dreams were going negative, but were you lucid in those negative dreams? And when you became lucid, were they still negative? Really? That's interesting. Because, like, once you become lucid, don't you realize that, like, you can turn it into clouds or just make it all disappear or decide to wake up in and out? Okay, yeah, and that's tough, right? Right, when you're going into and out of awareness. Right, right, right. I know what you mean. I think I know what you mean. I'm sorry, that blunt really did me in. Uh, right, right, yeah, yeah. When you're young and and you don't know what it is, and you don't know how exactly like how to use it, and you don't understand these things, it can be overwhelming. Yeah, but anytime, like, so one of the main reasons I decided to lucid dream and I wanted to learn how to lucid dream was because I would have these nightmares, and like, it sounds corny for me to admit it, but like, it was Freddy, it was Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I used to picture like the light streaks, and it would be like the claws. It would look like the streaks of his claws. And I was a little kid, like when that first started. I think I might have been like 7 or 8 years old, and then like 9 or 10, it was still happening. Then like 11 and 12, I kind of started to learn about dreams and started to read. By like 13, 14, I was reading everything I could get my hands on about dreams, and I found out about lucid dreaming. And like one of the first things I did when I woke up, I or became lucid during a nightmare, I fought off Freddy, and it's 11:11 right now. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to learn how to lucid dream, and I destroyed Freddy. And it's interesting because if dreams are reflections of ourself, it's like we're kind of just defeating different aspects of our personality. And I looked at it that way. So even if it was like the placebo effect on me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna destroy Freddy. I mean, I literally like, I hammer smashed him, and like, I obliterated Freddy, and it actually worked. You know how people say like you're weak in your dreams and your punches don't do anything? I think I talked about that in another live video too. Like that's for people that don't lucid dream, because for me personally, like I was laying it on him, and it was so satisfying, and I was hooked from then on. Yeah, man. But Freddy, I mean, Freddy scared me for a long time when I was a kid. I think I watched those movies when I was like too young to be watching them. I remember the naked lady with like the blood squirting up from the bed, like shooting her up or whatever. Like some of those images like stuck with me, and I haven't even seen those movies since I was like a kid. So, but yeah, I think I was like way too young to be watching them, and that's why he scared me, and that's why I wanted to learn how to uh how to lucid dream, And I was like, Freddy's a scary one because like he gets you when you're sleeping, like Jason and all that type of stuff never phased me because it's like that's an actual physical thing that like whatever. But Freddy, you can't get away from him, so like I had to figure out a way to defeat him. And it was like when I did, it was pretty liberating, and I was like, maybe that was a piece of my subconscious, like maybe that was like a reflection of my primordial fears that I just defeated. That's kind of how I felt. And then, so when I would have other problems in my life, that's what I was talking about, like using lucid dreaming and like finding a guided meditation to lead you into a lucid dream. That's what I was talking about to solve problems. Like with stage fright, like before I would have a show with my band, because I would do these live shows. We had a band called DK and the Hip Hop Orchestra. Or even before we had the band, like just doing like open mic nights, it would be like it'd be like I'd be preparing for it like days before, and I would do so just to be able to have a strong stage presence. Like I would do breathing techniques, all types of deep breathing techniques, and I'd be rehearsing my songs, and I'd be like, you know, everyone, I don't know, I'm not extroverted, like I'm pretty introverted, so like I do get stage fright, and depending on the set, like going into some of these local redneck bars, like that was never really anything that never phased me. But like some of these shows we did, like it was different. And then I even I did the mic wars, the battle showcases and stuff when I started to do those, and like getting up on stage, that was something that I had to get over, and I'm like, what if I bomb it, and like, man, the feeling, and even like going face to face with someone, like it could be intimidating. So like, so I would use my dreams to get through that, and I'd be like, I would just picture myself with a microphone, and the world would be like the size of a like like small. The way I pictured it, the world was like, I don't know how to describe it, what to relate it to, like 20 feet in diameter or whatever. And like I'm looking down on all the cities, and like I'm holding the microphone, and it's like my voice is like vibrating over the whole world, and like shaking the whole world. And it's like, and then I wake up invigorated, and I'm like, man, I wrote that down as a guided meditation. I memorized it, and it was a lot longer and more detailed than that. It included like breathing techniques, in different stages of breathing, to induce different states of mind. But like those visualizations, that I put along with it, and it was invigorating, and I would go on stage and shit, I think back now, like it was probably not that good. Like like compared to what I would do now, like whatever I did back then on stage was probably pretty embarrassing. I don't know. I know it was decent, but like it felt good and I got great feedback. So like it helped me overcome that fear, and get up there and just do it, and I crushed it a lot. Like, I don't know. But I think back, there's very little footage of that because like a lot of that, that was even, this goes back to like 2000, I don't know, 2012. Like, I don't know, just people weren't recording as much. I think one of my homies had it on his iPhone like way back, but all that footage got lost now. I know there's an interview of me outside of the Mike Wars building still on YouTube, and there might be footage. And man, if anyone's out there, like, I think my sister might have some old recordings, but man, I don't have any footage of me on stage. And I didn't have good stage movement for a long time. Like I would stand like a rock on stage, and like I always knew that wasn't good because I would try to like, study good stage presence, but like, man, for me it was tough because a lot of the rhymes that I was trying to do were pretty complex, and I would be working with a lot of words off very little breath. And the best way to do it and the way to make it sound the best is to kind of like stand there. And I was so used to recording in a studio, so like that was tough. That was tough to get over. But once I started getting more into like the Mike Wars battle type circuit with that type of stage presence, it was like, you know, I got the movements down. But yeah, yeah, man. But yeah, I think it gets harder to lucid dream over time. Also, well, although yes, staying positive will always help. Uh, I think it gets harder just because we've had more hours of input from the physical world. Our brain has taken in more. This physical version of our brain has taken in more input from the physical world and filled up that surface hard drive. But I think if we practice meditation and just like awareness and all types of different techniques, I think you can pretty much bring yourself back to that. And the only reason I'm confident in that is because like I've known like 50, 60 year olds who never even heard of lucid dreaming as a term, but I talk to them about it and they're like, I see, I don't know how old this person was, but like either 50 or 60, like they were older. So, and they're like, yeah, I've done that. Like I've woke up in my dreams before. It's awesome. And we're talking about it. And then like the next or a few days later, they're like, we were talking about it and I just did it again. And they're like, but they're like, I started to control it, He's like, because I didn't realize, like, they didn't, although most people have experienced some point in a dream where they woke up and realized they were dreaming, they didn't realize that they could keep dreaming from there. And a lot of people end up waking themselves up when they realize that they're dreaming too. That does happen, but yeah, I think yeah. So I think you can always kind of bring yourself back to it. It's just after all the input from the external world, uh, it can be tough. Uh, Anyone else out there watching, just tap in. And if anyone's watching the replay here, uh, and it's taking too long, don't worry because I will be sharing different clips from this video. So, like I said, these videos are kind of long and drawn out, and I didn't even get to any of my questions down here, but that's okay, because there's always more time and there's always more stuff to put up. Uh, Yeah, so there's a lot here, and I don't even think I'm gonna have enough time to answer all of them because my girl is probably inside waiting on me. But someone asked me, uh, do I have any rituals or practices to help me get into a creative mindset? Uh, that's similar to, I think someone asked me something similar to that before. Uh, and I mean, yeah, see, this is a ritual, like the whole process. And this is why I don't use the vapes and all that, because smoking is more of a ritual for me. Say what you want. I know that carbon dioxide in the lungs is not good no matter how you look at it, but I don't really like the vapes. I know everyone claims they have the purest and the most organic, whatever, all that. But like, I like to see what I have. I like to break it up, and not only like for the, not only like just to see that it's a plant and to have that physical thing, but it does kind of feel like a ritual to me. I don't ever just do it. I don't ever do it habitually. It's always kind of ritualistic to me. I like to make a session out of it because like, I do think it helps with creativity and inspiration and all that. And but also also like breathing techniques I'll use. And like anytime I'm just kind of feeling stuck, like I'm having writer's block or something, or I'm not feeling in that like creative flow. And I don't really get, and I've talked about this again. I don't want to be too repetitive, but I did talk about this in another video. But I don't really get writer's block. My issue, and this is a quote from a cannabis song, and he took the quote from someone else. So like, I don't get writer's block. My issue is having too much and just trying to find a cohesive way to put it down and put it all together. It's never like I'm never really drawing a blank, but when I do kind of feel stuck for whatever reason or anything, especially like recently, my girl got me this from this guy that she works with, and it's a picture of Robin Williams. I don't know if you can see it, and he signed it, and it says "Right On," and I thought that was amazing. She got this for me like a few months ago, and it says "Right On," like WRITE, like right on, and I'm like, and that like that was perfect, and I love Robin Williams. So like a lot of times when I'm sitting here trying to write my songs or whatever, if I look up at that and I'm like, if that's not like inspirational, I don't know what is. I'm like, so I could always write on, but I've never, I mean, I've never struggled uh, with writer's block at all. And but other rituals like sometimes listening to music, and a lot of times I like just listening to instrumental music, or I mean, I'll listen to hip hop beats, or I'll listen to even like orchestra beats or jazz or whatever. Mostly because I don't want to be too influenced by something that some other artist says in their songs. So like even subconsciously, I don't want to take anything from anyone. So like if I'm about to be working on a song and I'm in my studio, I'm not really gonna play anything else with lyrics. It's all instrumental. Because a lot of people, and I've noticed people, I've seen people do it, and they don't realize they do it sometimes. I've even pointed it out to people while we're in the same room, right into a song, and I'm like, man, that's like you kind of got that line from that Immortal Technique song that we've been listening to every day. Like it's kind of and when they realize, oh, they're like, oh shit, yeah, So it's like, so as a when I do have one of my rituals, I try not to play anyone else's music with lyrics, but I'll sit there and I'll play beats. I'll play like some Avicii, or like some old orchestral music, or anything that's just not lyrical. There's all types. or I'll just listen to rap beats. That's a great ritual. I'll light my candles. I'll roll something up, or I'll pack something, and like I'll put on some beats, and just start vibing. Sometimes reading does help, and like obviously I don't want to like get stuck into a novel, but I like to look at my books. I like to flip through the pages. I like to feel the paper. So like a lot of times I'll just go through some Edgar Allan Poe, or like or even just like some informational stuff, the science of the mind, the God delusion, so anything, all types of stuff. I got art through the ages and all that. Or sometimes like as a ritual, whatever I'm trying to write my song about to get in the zone, like I'll be doing my research. And I mean, I guess you could call that a ritual, because I kind of do it ritualistically. I'll open up different sources, and I'll cross reference them and stuff, and I'll get fully immersed in that, and I'll go take my shower, and I'll have the Bluetooth speaker playing, with a video or a podcast, or an audio book about whatever I'm trying to write about at that time. And that's only if I'm doing like that type of informative type of song. Depends on what type of song I'm writing. Some songs just flow. Some songs just come out. But my favorite types of songs are the ones that I do have to come up with a ritual for inspiration, that actually do challenge me, that I got to sit there and try to get into a certain type of zone to be able to connect the dots, and challenge it with different types of flows and all that. Uh, you know, I still didn't tag anyone, and it might be a little too late to tag anyone now, but yeah, it's all good. Uh, yeah, how do I incorporate storytelling into dreams? Well, I kind of talked about that, but anytime for me personally, if I've tried to incorporate a story or live out a story in my dream, it always ends up turning into something I didn't expect it to. So I don't know how many of you out there control your dreams and are able to actually like act out an entire story from beginning to end. But for me personally, like they always turn into things that are unexpected, and I feel like we all have so much in our subconscious mind that's going on that start to influence the dream from the sides, from the peripherals, not just the peripherals of our vision, but the peripherals of our mind. And I feel like that can kind of switch up, what direction that story goes in. That's how I feel personally. So, but I incorporate the storytelling into my guided meditation before I dream. So I'll come up with the whole line of whatever I want to achieve and whatever I want to accomplish, and like I said, I'll memorize it. I'll write it from beginning to end, and then I'll lead that into a dream. Now the dream doesn't always play out in story form. A lot of times the dream goes off in different directions, but as long as I get the overall premise down before I drift into that dream, I can usually get wherever I'm trying to go, you know, without having to experience the full story in the dream. But if anybody out there, if you do actively lucid dream, and if you were able to walk yourself through a storyline in your dream, that's amazing. Let me know in the comments, even if it's someone watching the replay. I'll chop this up as a clip, this video, and send it out there. I'll cut that sentence out right there, actually. But yeah, that'd be really cool to know. I'm interested in that. Um, Oh, okay, sorry about that. Um, what about? Oh, okay. Are any of my videos inspired by dreams? That's a good question. I wish I could say yes. Mm-mm. No. I know you. I know the person that asked that question. They're probably not watching, so I think there's only two people watching. But the person that asked that question, I know that they think that my videos are creative, but like, I'm not a videographer. I'm not like a graphic designer. I mean, I guess I am technically because I do it, but I don't consider myself good at it. So no, none of my videos were inspired by dreams. At least not consciously. That's a good idea though. Maybe well, with that being said, okay, maybe I'm wrong. That's a good question to ask because my first the first album I made with my band, with the full band, DK and the Hip Hop Orchestra, it was called Shake the World. And me and the producer came up with that name together. But one of the reasons that I was kind of inspired by that was because of the dream that I had where I was like standing over the world, talking down on it. So my first album with that band, and it's probably my oldest album that's up on YouTube right now, was called Shake the World. And if anybody does search for it, I don't think any of the songs are on my YouTube now. But I know if you look up DK and the Hip Hop Orchestra, Shake the World, and I know it's on Bandcamp too. I haven't even been on Bandcamp in years, but I know you could find it, and it's a bunch of old songs, and they sound like horrible, to be honest. Like the production is horrible, horrible. But at the same time, we were making everything from scratch. So like, I mean, not me, my producer Josh at the time, and a lot of the sounds were actual. It was actually him playing the guitar or playing the bass or whatever, and then recording it onto his software and then making the beats out of that. And we did live shows, like I was saying, where we actually I bought an entire drum set for like $100, and we had a drummer. We had the bass player. We had the guitar player. Sometimes we would have my homie Jimmy O'Mara on the bongos, and we would do live shows. But those were the recordings. To get a clean, nice recording, especially back then, like it was tough, and I can't say we ever achieved that. So all those songs sound horrible. But my point is, the lyrics were still great. I still had some great lyrics on there. But the album was called Shake the World, and that was uh, that was inspired by a dream. But I guess that's not a video, so that's not really what you asked in your question. But yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Uh, yeah, some of these questions I've already answered, basically. Yeah, premonitions. Yeah, dreams can be premonitions. Like I said, I may have to call it a night. I got to go see my girl, and hopefully she put the baby to bed. But I do appreciate everyone joining me. I'm sorry. Uh, she just texted me, and I feel like she might have just knocked on the wall. So I don't know. I might I might have to wrap it up. But and there's still more questions I got to answer. So I'll be live again next Friday. I might start a little bit later. I don't know. I was thinking about doing the lives at 11:11. Like if I could, it'd be easier for me to get out here and get set up and start the live by 11. and 10 o'clock's kind of tough, especially on a Friday. But I also want to catch people while they're awake. So I mean, whoever's out there, let me know what you think. I'll clip this and share it in a reel or something. But let me know what you think. What would be the best time for these dream sessions? I mean, obviously, I got to do it at night when people are sleeping. Kind of goes along with the theme, and it's also like when I don't have my kids running around. So but yeah, everyone, let me know, and I appreciate everybody for joining me. Uh, Peace and love, people. I'm not even again. How do I? Okay, thank you.